Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. And this is a rant video. And today I want to talk about rom-coms. Let me turn this up because people are always so loud. People say I'm loud, trying to ruin my rant. Okay, so let's talk about romantic comedies for a second. Every time I call up one of my good Judies and I'm like, let's go to a movie, and they're like, oh, there's a new rom-com, and I want to go. Ugh. Okay, I cannot stand romantic comedies. I cannot, except for Pretty Woman and Bridesmaids. Those are like, well, and Notting Hill, and I mean, I guess there's kind of a few that I like, but here's my deal, right? Is that I feel like romantic comedies set people up for this unrealistic idea of what the world should be like, okay? And it's, listen, let me tell you who it always is, okay? It's always my sad-ass girlfriend that can't keep a boyfriend to save her life, and she always dates a bunch of losers. You know the girl. She calls you up, and she's like, oh, can we just talk for a second? I'm like, I guess. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. She's like, well, I was just sitting here, and I was watching Pretty Woman, and I was eating some Ben & Jerry's and having a glass of Zinfandel, KJ, Kendall Jackson, and I just got so sad because I was thinking about when Daryl left me last. I'm like, oh God, not Daryl again. And she's like, I mean, I know he's not the right one for me, but I still am in love with me. I mean, we only dated for 2 weeks, but I just knew he was right from the beginning. And even though he ended up sleeping with his, sister's best Judy, and I just don't know what to do. Am I ever gonna find love? I'm like, girl, stop watching those stupid romantic comedies. They're not real. That's the problem, okay, is these romantic comedies, like Pretty Woman. No man in their right mind, okay, that has as much money as Richard Gere does in that movie to send her on the shopping spree of the world, okay, will be climbing up no fire escape. Let's just be for real, okay? I know she wants the fairy tale. We all want the fairy tale. It don't happen, okay? Let me tell you something. I was up on the Google because, now y'all know I love the Google, right? So I was up on the Google because I wanted to research this video before I was going to do it. I was like, now what are some of the best romantic comedies out there? So I got up on the Google and I was like, I knew them all, okay? 10 Things I Hate About You, Clueless, Pretty Woman, listen, I've seen them all, okay? And I buy into them all, and I'm crying and sobbing at the end of them too, because I'm like, this could happen to me someday. This could be me. Listen, I'm happily married, okay? We fight over if we want pizza or Chinese. It ain't no big thing, okay? We got a real marriage like everybody else has in the entire world. You have your little things, and you romanticize, and you make it all up. People always ask me all the time, they're like, when you talk about getting romantical in your videos, what do you mean? That's a nice way of saying sex, okay? You have sex, you make up, y'all look at each other like you're all in love again, and then you go to bed, and I don't know, it's all fine the next day. So the real thing is, if y'all are fighting with each other, just go have sex, okay? it solves the world's problems. So anyway, I'm sitting here and I'm looking through these romantical comedies, and it comes down here, and I'm looking through them all, and there's this question. It says, is it possible for romantic comedies to have sequels? And this is where my rant is truly, okay? No, it's not realistic for romantic comedies. First of all, I hate the word rom-com, okay? I hate it just about as much as I hate Netflix and chill, okay? Netflix and chill is one of the, these nuts, or that's what she said, okay? Ugh! Nails on the chalkboard. When somebody says something like they're trying to Netflix and chill, I'm like, that is so 2011. It's almost embarrassing that you're even saying it, okay? Don't say Netflix and chill. Don't say, what's the other ones I can't stand? Don't say rom-com. Oh, here's my girlfriend. It's always Sally Sue that's been, dumped 15 times. And I'm like, what movie do you want to go see? We can go see this horror movie, or we can see this movie that's up for an Oscar. She's like, oh, I always love a good rom-com. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Which means that after we go see a good rom-com, it's going to be followed by 2 hours up in the Steak and Shake where she stuffs her face, okay, with 4 patty melts, 2 shakes, and an extra side of fries because she's so depressed that everybody else in the world is in love except for her, which the reality is that's not even the case, okay? It's not. Romantic comedies they're just of the devil. They are lies straight from the pit of hell, but I still watch every single one of them because I love them, okay? Because it gives us hope that one day we could have what Julia Roberts has, okay? A mouthful of good teeth that she probably paid 10 grand for and went through the most pain in the entire world to have that mouth of teeth that got her all these roles to begin with. You think she would be Erin Brockovich if she didn't have those teeth? Let's just be for real, okay? Look at every single one of these movie stars up in these romantic comedies. They all got good teeth. So first of all, you got to save you 10 grand so you can get a bunch of veneers. That's the truth, okay? You want to find you a romantic relationship like these rom-coms, save a bunch of money, go get a bunch of veneers, and then you too can have the life of Julia Roberts, because the rest of it is a bunch of bullshit, right? They don't ever talk about what happened to that girl, that one girl that was her best friend, and that says, Cinderella in Pretty Woman. What happened to her, girl? She's still hooking on the street? What's her dream? Everybody's got a dream. What's her dream? She's still hooking? Probably. They didn't make no Pretty Woman 2, did they? They didn't make no Bridesmaids 2, did they? Oh my God, I would live for that all day long. I know some people don't like that Melissa McCarthy, but I think she is so funny. And I cannot wait to see that movie where she's like that, you know, divorced woman. See, that's a real romance. That's what I want to see right there, okay? But this is why they don't make any sequels. Because if they made a sequel to Pretty Woman, y'all know what it would be, okay? Now, we already know Richard Gere has an affinity for prostitutes. They talked about it in Pretty Woman. How the hell this was ever a Disney movie is beyond me, okay? Cinderella story, my ass. Now, I love Pretty Woman. It's one of my favorite movies all day long. But let's just break it down, okay? A hooker gets hired and falls in love with her John. That's what it is really all about. And then she says, oh no, I want the fairy tale. I got a bunch of girlfriends like this too, okay? Listen, I do. And they're always like, I won't settle, I won't settle, I won't settle, I won't settle. And then guess what? They're 45 years old and they're single because they wouldn't settle. And then this is what they say. Well, I'd rather be single anyway. And then they call you when they're drunk and they're like, I'm never gonna meet a man. I should have settled. And I'm like, see, girl, we all should settle just a little bit. I mean, you ain't never gonna find your 99.6% of a man. You just aren't, okay? I'm not even that. I mean, I'm close, but you aren't even gonna find, nobody's gonna find that, right? And that's what Pretty Woman is. So, you know, here's what happens in Pretty Woman 2, okay? So what? He moves under a house in, you know, his house in Connecticut and all this kind of stuff. And then she has to go to, like, you know, lunch and teas and sit on the boards because he's an executive, right? And so what do their wives do? They sit on boards, you know? That's what you do. You get bored sitting on a board all day long, right? You drink the wine in the evening. He's off on business trips. She don't trust him. She don't trust him and she gets jealous because she's like, well, he slept with me and I was a hooker, so who knows he ain't hiring some other hooker when he's traveling all over the world. I mean, this week alone, you know, he was in Singapore, and he went to Germany, and he was in LA. Who knows? He's probably sleeping with the whole world. And then he comes home, and then he's like, well, what's wrong with you? And he, like, brings her some bracelet, right? And she's like, oh, you brought me a bracelet. Why? You feel guilty for something that you did? And he's like, I gave you your fairy tale. What else did you fucking want? And she's like, my fairy tale? This isn't what I wanted. I didn't want to be living in some big house that I gotta sit here, and the only people that I know are servants. I ain't got no friends, but some old good Judies of mine that are on boards, and they're bored too. And all we ever do is go around and sit and play tennis. I don't like tennis. I didn't even like polo. I didn't even like stepping in that shit out there in that field, but yet I did it. Why? Because I wanted the fairy tale. And that's what the movies really should say, is that we all do things we don't want to do, like step on horse turds for the fairy tale. Okay, that's the reality. And then he's like, well, what should we do? And she's like, well, I think we should go to marriage counseling. He goes, okay, well, so we go to marriage counseling, right? And then they go to marriage counseling, and they're sitting up in there, and then, you know, it's sad. That's the reality of those things. It's like Bridesmaids, right? Like, let's talk about Bridesmaids for a second. If Bridesmaids was real, she would have never had her back in her wedding. That girl would, listen, I got a lot of girlfriends, and they always say to me, right? They always say, I don't get along with other females. That's what they always say. So you know, if that girl had been called up after everybody in the world then fucked her over and said to her, like, oh, we don't know where she's at, she's supposed to get married today, you know that girl would be like, fuck her. She didn't have me in her wedding. She didn't want to take my little fun trip with me, and she sure didn't want to eat my shitty-ass diarrhea meal for Bridesmaids. So fuck her and her wedding. That's how that movie would have ended, right? Right there, it would have ended. She would have been homeless, living with her moms, making cupcakes or something. Who can survive with making cupcakes? Seriously? That right there is a lie straight from the pit of hell. I mean, we got about, in Indianapolis alone, about 15 of those cupcake places, and every one of them claims that they're like the most fantastic, beauticious cupcake in the entire world. Who'd care? You want to eat cupcakes all day long? Not me. No ma'am. So she's gonna open a cupcake shop and date the okay, girl, whatever. I just can't get down with all this kind of stuff. I love these movies, and I watch them, and I do, and I sit there, and I'm just like, oh yeah, oh right. And then she's sitting there, and then the girl that she hates, fucking hires Wilson Phillips to the wedding, right? Oh man, that's where I would just punch her. I'd be like, girl, seriously? Seriously, now we've come a long way, and you done hired Wilson Phillips, our band. You hired her, and she's sitting there and they're doing all this kind of stuff at the end of the video. I'm like, no, girl, I'd be letting her have it. I mean, that would be like, for me, if one of my good Judies got married, and her new friend that she met that was fancy and could buy her some expensive-ass wedding dress wanted to fucking hire Morrissey from the Smiths, I would sit there and be like, is this shit really going down? And by the way, can I have your autograph? Is this shit really going down? Did she try to get in so good that she hired Morrissey for the wedding? I mean, does anybody watch these things? Or are we just all wanting to, for love on a dollar, okay, that we are buying into all this kind of stuff? But I have to tell you, I do love a good rom-com. I do, okay? Because the world just ain't that nice sometimes, okay? Listen, it just isn't. And then you gotta have real life rom-coms like all that royal wedding bullshit, right? I mean, give me a break. And if she ain't the real rom-com, okay? Everybody talk about how she's an ex-movie star. What, girl? I never heard of her. I never ate Chinese buffet with her. Who is she? I've never seen her in no movie before. I looked up her Wikipedia page. She's been in about 3 TV shows and an infomercial. I have never heard of this girl for her to be the princess of the world. Who'd care, okay? Everybody's like, she's so gorgeous. I swear to God, I look at her, and I swear I thought she was Colleen Ballinger, Miranda sings, and I love Colleen. I think she is gorgeous all day long, but I was like, is this a prank? Is Colleen Ballinger, Miranda sings, is she the new princess of the world? I am so confused. What is going on here, okay? Now, every little girl in the world is going to think she gets up on the infomercials or the American Idol, or she's an extra in some fucking movie, that she too can be the princess of the world. Now we got real ass rom-coms happening, okay? Now what you need to sit your daughter down is, you need to sit her down and you need to say, you need to watch these romantic comedies and ask yourself why there's no sequel, and then we're going to have a learning lesson from it. There's going to be a test at the end of this. What did we take from this, okay? Contracts, that's what we need. You should have had a contract, Julia Roberts and Pretty Woman, because you should have detailed point A, point B, point C. What will this fairy tale look like? Sign on the dotted line. And if you don't meet my fairy tale, and if you don't treat me like gold, then I want $10 million. And then I'm gonna find me my own damn fairy tale, living on alone with my hooker friend that's still living in that low rent apartment in Hollywood. Because that's, you know where she's still at. They should make a spinoff on her, and they should call it My Low Ass Lonely Life. My friend done left me and I ain't got no money. That's what they should have called her spinoff romantic comedy. What happened to her? She's been in a couple other TV shows and movies, but who'd care anyway? Not me. She was never my favorite actress anyway. The only line that she had in that movie that I liked was Cinderella. Didn't win her no Oscar, did it? Where's her fairy tale? Anyway, I just cannot with these romantic comedies. I'm telling you right now, okay, now I've done ranted, I've talked, but let me give you a little lesson, okay? When your lonely ass good Judy calls you up, and you know that she's been stood up 5 times this month, and she broke up with Daryl twice, okay? And she says she wants to go to see this brand new romantic comedy, especially those 50 Shades of Grey that are bullshit of the world, that talk about some naivete girl that don't know nothing about those books and movies are foolish. I now read them, and I've seen the movies, because all my girlfriends wanted me to, and I did, okay, just to keep up with the conversation. But that is some bullshit right there, okay? Especially when he wants to buy her a new car, and she's like, oh no, I can't possibly take the car, girl! What are you doing? Take the car! And it's an Audi. I would have been like, where's my Bentley? Seriously? My God, you got private planes and islands and all kinds of shit. Where's my fucking Bentley, girl? You gotta sign some contract that he's gonna whip the shit out of you. I'd at least get a Bentley out of it. Stupid. It's just stupid books and movies out there, and we buy into this shit. So when your good Judy calls you, and you know she done broken up with Daryl twice this month alone because he done cheated on her with his cousin's good Judy, okay? Or sister's good Judy, or whoever, it doesn't matter anyway. The fact that she is dating somebody named Daryl should be a sign enough, okay? But she done broken up with Daryl twice this month anyway. And then she's all depressed and lonely because she's been up on the eHarmony and people done send her dick pics, and she's been stood up 5 times, okay, for the Chinese buffet. And she calls you up and she got a little bit of the KJ up in her, you know, Ken Jackson, the wine. And she says she wants to go to a good rom-com. Take her to a horror movie and scare the shit out of her. That's what you should take from this video. Now I feel much better. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna watch Bridesmaids because it is truly one of my favorite movies in the world. I love you guys, and I will see you later.